I'd like to call this regular council meeting of April 11th to order. Please stand for a moment of silence. Please salute the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Lutz?
Here.
Mr. Cohen? Here. Mr. Nell?
Here.
Mr. Rodriguez? Here. Mr. Musi? Mr. Sabatini?
Here.
Mr. Plensky? Here. Mr. Di Giuseppe?
Here. Before we get started this evening, we got a couple presentations we want to make, and one special to my heart because I know when I started this political career 10 years ago, I went and talked to a couple people and got some advice, and one of the first person I went to was Harry Guerrio. And Harry, if everybody knows, was very unique, and he gave it to me in Harry Guerrio terms, what I had to do and how you had to do things. So he was a great guy, and he's truly going to be missed throughout this town, and that's why I thought it'd be a great gesture to honor his family this evening, to show that we appreciated him and that this borough appreciated him as a councilman. So at this time, I'm going to call up his family who's here that likes to come forward. I think Councilman Walensky and Sabatini wants to make a presentation.
Come on up. You too. Tommy.
Honoring Joseph Harry Guerrio for his years of distinguished service to the historic Bristol Borough as a borough councilman. Whereas Joseph Harry Guerrio served the borough with integrity and honor as a borough councilman from September 1966 to December 1973. Whereas Joseph Harry Guerrio devoted much personal time and energy for the betterment and the well-being of the borough of Bristol and residents. And whereas Borough Council desires to honor Joseph Harry Guerrio for his distinguished service to the Bristol Borough community during his time as a councilman. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Bristol Borough Council, and is hereby resolved by the authority of the same, that Joseph Harry Guerrio is hereby honored and thanked for many years of distinguished, unselfish, honorable service as a Bristol Borough Councilman.
On behalf of my father and our entire family, I would like to thank everyone. My dad would be very humbled by this because he probably would have said, "Get out of here." He would not want it to have been made a big deal of. He was a giver, he wasn't a taker. And when he did in the political arena or otherwise ask for a favor, it was never for himself. It was usually for a family member, a neighbor, a friend. And as most of the men here who know him best, my brother-in-law Pat, Ralphie, Mr. Dillon, they can tell you that. And he would just be humbled, and he's probably laughing about all this right now, but thank you. He loved this town, and he loved all you guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, Chief, you want to do this presentation?
On February 21st of this year, our officers responded to a call of a burglary in progress in the 300 block of Lincoln Avenue. When they arrived, they found the suspect had already made entry into the residence. Once inside, they were confronted by our officers, and one of the officers was Sergeant Joe Moores. Now, he was being covered by backup officers at the time, but when the suspect was confronted, he put what appeared to be a gun to his head and said that he was going to kill himself. Also, at some point, he told the officers that he was going to run out the front door, fire above the officers' heads in hopes that he'd be killed by other officers. Sergeant Moores, from a very close distance, negotiated with the suspect, was able to convince him to put the weapon down, and he was taken into custody without any injuries sustained to the officers or to the suspect or to anybody else in the nearby area. And for his actions tonight, we're going to award him a Meritorious Service Award. Reads, presented to Sergeant Joseph Moores in recognition of your meritorious service while displaying courage and calmness while handling a dangerous situation involving an armed subject on February 21st, 2011. And along with the certificate goes a bar that he can wear proudly on his uniform. Congratulations.
I usually have a difficult time being honored because to me this is just part of our job, and we all do this every day on a day-in basis, but this definitely would not have been possible if it wasn't for Officer Palmer, my partner of a long time, Officer Ellis, who's also been my partner of a long time, and Sergeant Dan Doyle of the Bristol Borough, or the Tullytown Borough Police Department. Collectively, we all worked together that day and ended this incident, which could have really been a tragedy in a peaceful manner. So thank you.
Thank you.
And our last presentation is to discuss the World War II. Who's here? Want to go to the podium? And all for the record.
Good evening. Good evening, President, council people. My name is Mary Jane Manhurst, and I'm the director of the Grundy Library in Bristol. And I've come to give you a little bit of background about Bristol's Oral History Initiative. We began in about 2007 with a proposal for a grant offered by the United Way of Bucks County to organizations in Bristol that would join and form a collaborative initiative to show how collaboration can work between different agencies. So a group of us got together, including the Grundy Museum, the library, the schools, the two historical societies, and many others, to see what we could do. And we thought one of the biggest gifts we could give back to the town would be to start collecting oral histories of people that have done important things and done everyday things in town. So the program started with a partnership with the schools, and a program was prepared by the 7th and 8th grade school teachers, where the students elected to take this program after school and interview people that they knew and people that we recommended. It was done with an old-fashioned tape recorder with cassette tapes and a movie camera that somebody had to hold because the tripod wouldn't quite hold up the camera. But we've come a long way from there, and we've now, the group, we had that first initial program where we collected all these different oral histories. We collected about 18 of them. The program now has migrated, and we've become big time. I tell you that now we have one of our community leaders is a professor from the community college, Connie Welsh. She has her degree in oral histories, and she's been our guidance with this project. we have a number of students that are residents of Bristol who are part of the Historic Preservation Program at the community college. Among them is Barbara Freer, who then is our chairperson for this latest initiative. One of the real benefits of this initiative is that this material will be archived in the Grundy Libraries and Museum's archive. We will save this forever. And these photographs, documents, tapes of what's happening, of what people did at different times throughout Bristol's history, and as they're telling these stories, we're now recording it. And with your help and with your agreement, we've been using your video facilities, and this is such a bonus to us. So I'm going to let Barbara Freer, who's heading our committee, and Mary Gesualdi from the schools talk to you a little bit about what we're doing now. But it's something we hope to continue well into the future. We'll have different topics and collect histories. And it's one more way we have of documenting Bristol's importance and saving it for the future.
Okay, so I'm Barbara Freer, and I'm the chairperson of the Oral History Initiative. What we're doing now is we're collecting, first let me tell you a little bit of what oral history is, for those of you who don't know. Oral history is the collection of people's memories or traditions or photos, correspondence, their memories. And what oral history does is it fills in the blanks of written history. For instance, we know certain things happened in the borough, but without the people's oral histories and their memories, we don't really know what really happened on certain days. So that's one of the reasons why we wanted to collect our oral histories. We chose to do a program on the home front, and we're collecting the oral histories of people who lived or worked in Bristol Borough between 1938 and 1945 during World War II. The reason why we decided to do this project currently is because many of these people are getting older. They're going to pass away pretty soon. They have diseases and things like that. So we felt it was necessary to start our oral history initiative by collecting these memories and getting them on tape. Once we decided what we wanted to do, we were lucky to have Joe Saxton on our committee, and he came to the Borough Council here and told everybody about what we were doing. Mr. Dillon agreed to let us use the facilities, and we're able to videotape these people with your facilities. We currently have 13 people on the home front, about 8 hours of tape. One of the most exciting things for me that happened is I got to interview about 10 of these people. The interviews were held here. The interviewee sat up there where the solicitor's seat was, and most of these people have never been in this hall before. To see them come through this door and say, wow, this is such a great place, and to look at the pictures in the hallway, that to me was an amazing thing. Another thing that's exciting about this project for me is that I am in school at Bucks County Community College in the Historic Preservation Program, and the information that I'm putting together is going to be kept in Bristol Borough Community College as a template for other communities to be able to look at and to read to find out how to do an oral history project in their community. So this Borough Council and the Bristol Borough Oral History Initiative will be able to be a starting place for other communities to go to do their oral history. The second part of our project is with the veterans, and with us high school kids, and Mary Gesualdi is going to talk to you about that. Thank you.
My name is Mary Gesualdi, and I'm here on behalf of the Bristol Borough School District. We'd like to thank the council president, the entire council, the borough manager, Maria, on behalf of all of us, and our two 10th grade social studies and English teachers, Mr. Ron McGinn and Mr. Mike Gerard, and their students for allowing us to work out of your facility here. Our students made us proud on March 23rd by interviewing 12 Bristol veterans of World War II and 2 women who worked as Rosie Riveters. Some of these interviews will be sent to the Library of Congress, and all will be archived right here in our own Grundy Library. We hope that with your continued support, this oral history project will become a part of our high school curriculum and will be here for the community to enjoy for years to come. And we will be inviting you and the community to a reception at the Riverside Theater on June the 8th from 6:30 to 8:30. We will have the veterans there and the students and the video, and we would like you to join in our celebration. Thank you very much.
I just have one, go ahead. Go ahead. I just have one question, and I forget your name?
Barbara.
Barbara. It feels good when you say people come into this building and they're amazed what they see and how nice of a facility that we really have here in Bristol. I know Mary's proud of that, being from town. But also to have the availability to, video things and film things, and our debate club comes here and they use the building as a courtroom. So I want to thank council for having the foresight also to move this building into the position it is today.
Yes, thank you. And, in oral history, there's a lot of small towns that have oral history programs, but there are not that many who have the type of equipment that we had available to us for this project, to be able to get these things recorded in a professional manner. So that's really huge in the oral history.
Well, most of council, when we voted to put these cameras in, figured we can use them for things down the road, so I'm glad everybody's happy and they're using the building.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, what I'm going to do before I open up public participation is, I'm going to open up public participation, go through the agenda. If the police contract is voted on and accepted by council, there'll be an official signing. We could put the contract here on Mr. Musey or Mr. Polensky's desk, and we'll get the president of the PBA to come up and the vice president, and then myself and the vice president of council will sign it, and then the entire other 6 members of council will sign it if they want. Okay, this time I'm going to open up public participation. Anybody on this side of the room would like to speak? Please state your name and go to the podium.
Hello, I'm Greg Pezza. I'm a resident of the East Ward. And just what you were speaking about, I just wanted to congratulate both council and the police department for coming to an agreement, which I believe will be ratified this evening on the current police contract. I especially want to congratulate you in a time when it seems to me that public employees are under attack, and it also seems to me that state and local governments, in some senses, are grandstanding. So I commendate both the council and the police for being able to work in such a difficult environment. And I'd like to further say, as far as the police department is concerned, I, for one, am proud of the Bristol Police Department. Just the commendation this evening, I think, shows how great of a police department we do have. And I don't think anything is more important to the revitalization of a town than a safe street initiative. And I think our police department has conducted themselves in a very professional manner in really reclaiming the streets of Bristol Borough. And I think, that's an important thing in this town most particularly. And further, I recognize that times are tough economically for everybody. And I know that you have to weigh as a council, that idea of difficult times, a professional police department, and also making some difficult decisions along the way. So I'm sure there are questions that people might have that you guys will answer this evening as far as how you came to the agreement, and I look forward to what that agreement actually looks like. So I want to congratulate everyone on that.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
Anybody else on this side of the room would like to speak on anything? Anybody on this side of the room would like to speak on anything? Anybody out in the hallway? Alife? That ends public participation. Okay. Number 2 on the agenda.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of March 14th and April 4th, to accept the treasurer's report for February, to accept the police and DJ's report for March, to accept the fire chief's report for March, to accept the borough inspector's report for March, and to accept the planning commission report for March 21st. and to also accept the HARB report, which was March 28th.
Second by Ms. Rodriguez. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 3.
Mr. President, I want to make an ordinance adopting Act 167 for the Neshaminy Creek Watershed Stormwater Management Plan.
Do I have a second? Second by Mrs. Collin. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 4.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the 5-year police contract, 2011 to 2015.
Second by Mr. Sabatini. Any questions or comments? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Lutz?
Abstention?
Ms. Cullen?
Yes.
Ms. Trinnell?
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Musi?
Yes.
Mr. Sabatini?
Yes.
Mr. Plensky?
Yes.
Mr. DiGiuseppe?
Yes. Mr. Lutz, could you state for the record your reason for abstaining?
My brother's a police officer.
Can I ask the question, are you in favor of the contract,
My brother's a police officer, I'm not going to comment.
so you don't want to sign
I have
it
no
either?
comment.
You don't want to sign it either?
No, I'm not going to sign it.
Okay, because you signed, no problem. There's no reason to abstain either, but... Number 5.
At this time, I'd like to adopt a motion to accept the resignation of Rory LaRosa as Assistant Borough Inspector.
I have a second. Second by Mrs. Collin. Questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 6.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve Bristol Steel remediation payment number 2 to the Environmental Consulting Incorporated in the amount of $28,900 reimbursable by DCED and the EPA.
Second by Ms. Rodriguez. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Mr. Musi.
Yes, I'd like to suspend the rules.
Motion on the floor to suspend the rules to add something to the agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Mr. Musi.
I was reading the paper, I believe it was last week, and there was an article about Lower Bucks Hospital. Lower Bucks Hospital, as many people here know, is in pretty dire straits. They're in bankruptcy, and they're fighting their creditors to remain open. And a lot of us probably were born in that hospital. We were taking care of our parents, our grandparents, and it's important hospital to the borough and to the health and the well-being of not only the borough, but the entire area. I'd like to make a motion that the Bristol Borough Council, our residents, support the County of Bucks and the County Redevelopment Authority in establishing a certified redevelopment area on the Lower Bucks Hospital properties. So the County Redevelopment Authority can issue $14 million in revenue bonds to pay the hospital's creditors and save the Lower Bucks Hospital.
I have a second. Second by Mr. Sabatini. Any questions or comments? The manager and solicitor thought this had to be done because the county needs to get this done, and we really need to do whatever we can to save this hospital for the people of this town. We can't afford this hospital to move to another location, and I'm glad Mr. Musi stayed on top of this and is concerned, especially with the seniors of this town that would have to travel to another St. Mary's or to Frankfurt. So we're going to do everything we can as a council to make sure this place stays open. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hospital, we support. Can I get a... Mr. Salerno?
I just want to put on the record that council met before the agenda meeting for a scheduled executive session to discuss 2 things: 1, personnel matter, and number 2, current litigation.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to have the president of the PBA, the vice president, myself, and Mrs. Trinnell, maybe we can stand here and sign this new contract.
thought we were going to have something on TV.
Right here.
Congratulations.
Yeah, let's go. All right, how about if we get Mr. Lunt, you don't want to sign it? Mrs. Collins?
Should have put on your pretty little candy.
Mr. Busey?
Shake hands
Remember the last time we did this? Outside, remember?
Have your attention, please. I'd like to announce that we have just signed a 5-year contract with the police PBA.
I'll try not to be long-winded, but I want to thank a lot of people here tonight. That's what it took to get this done. I think we've been working on this probably for about 8 or 9 months now. And in an economy that we're in today, I'll tell you, this is, we were fortunate to get this done with both sides working together. There was committees appointed with the PBA, a committee appointed with the council, and we met many times with the borough manager, the committee, the solicitor, Mr. Salerno, the PBA committee. There's so many people to thank here tonight on both ends of this, the police officers downstairs and the council upstairs here. But most importantly, this goes back more than just the 8 months that we just worked to get this contract. This goes back about 9 or 10 years ago. And God, time goes so fast, I can't even remember. But I think it's about 9 years now, right? 10 years?
Almost 8 years for the last contract.
For the last contract. When things weren't so good here in Bristol. I mean, some of the neighborhoods, we had some issues, and this council came in. We didn't have a contract for a very, very long time, and we got a contract resolved. We hired a lot of police officers since then, and really turned this town around with the help of this, really with this council here tonight, the police chief and the guys that are working downstairs. And when we negotiated this this contract, both committees, we didn't just look at the next 5 years. We looked back at the last 9 or 10 years to see what we accomplished as being a proactive police department. And a lot of people here probably don't realize what that means but when I've been here almost 20 years now, and when I came here, we were a reactive police department, 2 police officers on the street running around answering calls, and no time to do anything reactive or proactive in the neighborhoods. But with the complement of police officers that we have now, we can do that. We have And I'm sure you've all have seen the bike patrol that we have out there. We have narcotics officers out there. We have a lot of specialized things because now we have the manpower to do these extra special things, and the funding not only from the town here, but from the county of Bucks County, the district attorney's office, who funds our drug investigations. So with all that in mind, we took all that and kept that all in mind when we negotiated the next 5 years, and that's how we came up with this agreement. There were two main concerns. One was the safety of the police officers out there. As always, that's a main concern, and the citizens of this town. Not only citizens that live here, but the people that come in here every day to Mill Street, to the different businesses, and so on and so forth. But we took all that into consideration, and we said, you know, we don't want to go back to the way that it used to be, just running and working the shifts with two men. We want to keep the complement of officers that we have here to continue to go forward and keep Bristol the way it is now, and even make it better. And I know we can make it better. When the economy turns around, we can develop some of the areas that are open in this town. So we took all that into consideration, and we said, you know what, we want to keep the complement of police officers that we have here in Bristol Borough and be a proactive police department. And that's how we came to this agreement for the next 5 years, and hopefully we continue to move forward and keep this complement and continue to work together with this council and the mayor and the chief. And I truly believe, and for those of you who used to come when I talked up here and got long-winded, I always said I'm here for the long haul, and I mean that. I'm not going anywhere, and I think we don't have the turnaround of police officers that we used to have. These guys come here and they stay here now because it's a great place. We have a great facility. We have all of the instruments that we need downstairs in the past few years to do the job that we need to do. And now we have a signed contract thanks to this council and a lot of hard work by the council, the borough manager, Mr. Dillon, and the solicitor, Mr. Salerno, and the committee that I appointed. I hope I don't miss anybody, but Randy Morris, Chuck Palmer, Maria Robles, Peter Fate, Sergeant Fate, and Billy Davis, and I came in at the end of it, so I think we should give the council a round of applause because they made this happen. Thank you.
Just before we adjourn, I think that, before we adjourn, I just want to say one thing, and we do have a great police force downstairs that is proactive, and they are, doing a lot of things in town, especially with protecting the seniors and keeping our streets safe, but they also put their life on the line every day. They don't know if they're going home to see their wife or their children. And they gave up a lot of sacrifices in this contract because the main thing we set out to say, we want to keep a full-time proactive police department, but council's always said we need to keep taxes down. And we will not raise taxes to keep police salaries going up. So they agreed, we worked out the terms, they froze their salaries for a couple of years, they switched their health insurance. There was a lot that went into this, it was very complicated, but it's a new 5-year contract, should work out great for the taxpayers of this town, and again, it's been 5 years with no tax increase, so if this council can continue doing what it's doing without raising your taxes and giving you everything that you see around here, they're accomplishing a lot, so I continue, and I want to thank everybody for putting this 8 months, and there was a lot of meetings. We walked out not talking to anybody, and the next day, we came back and shook hands, and we kept Jim out of the meeting for an hour, and things. But again, thank you, and just keep up the good work. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.